Hello everybody, Farron in here. Been a long time since I actually recorded, and I've decided to start recording again with a new game I found called Zeepkist, where the general premise is doing downhill racing with no gas pedal. Much to my joy, I've been making friends with some of the people in the community who have been playing longer. Alex.
Hi, how's it going, everyone?
He's going to be doing a recording with me today where, since I've decided I'm not likely to be a good racer, I instead do some map creations. And as a result, we're going to check some of them out and have somebody who's been here longer give me some feedback. We're going to start with the one that was actually inspired by your jammer ban and
Ooh.
all of your flying experiences that you put me through.
And for those who want to know, I have around 1,300 hours in game. I've been playing for about a year and a half now. So I have a little bit of experience. Ooh, this looks like a kind of a Maki map, Maki style. Or actually, oh, that beginning reminds me a lot of Brick Request by Kern Cobb.
Okay.
Ooh, cool little transfer there.
So I'm sure I'm not the first person to do the Super Gs, but this was kind of what I came up with as a
Ooh.
anti-flying map.
Really
And
funny after this week's Cup of the Week.
yeah, I will say that was not planned, but is kind of very much welcome. Ooh, almost matching my
Um,
PB already.
there are a few the high G's thing. There are some people who've done similar stuff,
Oh, that's
but not quite this much. Um, I do think in some ways it is holding the map back with how much force there is down, but it's actually a really unique feeling that I've never felt because it's like it feels like you can't skid out at all. Like, oh, that was cool with that little skip.
oh yeah. I wanted to try, something outside of my comfort zone for the second one this week, and, well, after all those flying maps, I was just like, theme. And so I
No
just
flying.
decided to stick with it, and at first, this map was miserable. It was an AFK fest, the gravity was causing you to smash your cart on everything. Then I had the wife try and do a decent number of skips, so you can thank her for all the anti-skipping on the end of the track.
Yeah,
Because
I kind of realized that right away. I'm like, oh, that looks like you can skip it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, probably not actually.
my three initial go-tos with building this map as far as what I was doing. One was obviously to make it so that you could spend as little time in the air getting a good run as possible. Um, Second was I kind of wanted to make the decoration on this one a little bit more of a simple style of decoration that still, gave you something to look at without being quite so distracting. So I'm very curious what your thoughts are on that.
Decoration, honestly, it looks good. I think it plays into the theme very well. Um, it's different, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I do like the little glider at the beginning. I think that's really cute.
Nice. There are
Good idea.
actually two more crashing gliders around the map. One of them is at the absolute end. There's a guy who's fallen off of his glider, crashing into the bridge. My last goal was to make this map have a lot of features that pro players would normally optimize by, jumping it, taking shortcuts, etc., that you just can't
Yeah.
do. So actually, if you'd be willing to go into photo mode and take a quick look at some of the quote-unquote jumps that I put in the map, to just see,
Oh yeah.
if you
I can
feel
definitely see some of them.
like you would have
Like
gone the other way if it wasn't for the gravity.
actually, the only thing that would be questioning is towards the beginning, because like you're not going to really have. They're a bit awkward. Some of those jumps, if even without the gravity. The first one, it mainly depends on the speed. I would probably end up jumping that.
Gotcha.
Um, I will say the one thing that I am not a fan of is that first left-hand turn with the rough like transition in the pieces. Um, everything else is playing pretty smooth, but yeah, that's just like one thing that like I've noticed right away. That's like
Okay.
it doesn't feel like fully optimized yet.
Ironically, we did actually spend a little bit of time looking for pieces. Like, I found that at the end of making this map, and I was just like, I should change this. But I couldn't find one that didn't drastically affect the rest of the track based on speed, and I was just like, this is a good talking point to see if they actually care when someone more experienced plays the map or not. So I'm actually really glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, and one of the other things that you couldn't have avoided really with this map, and I'm not gonna fault you for it because it is a very unique idea, and a lot of us like unique maps. Um, but the pure amount of fans is causing it so that like there's not a whole lot of speed conservation, and that's something that a lot of the better players tend to like is speed conservation. Um, because there's quite a few spots where you're hitting over 200. So at that point, it doesn't matter how fast or slow you're going. You were going before it. It's going to be the same speed no matter what. So it kind of takes away from like uh how do I put it? Like just like the optimization, I guess you could say. There is some optimization in this level, but it's mainly in shortening your lines as much as possible.
Okay. I will definitely think about that if I ever revisit this actual specific concept.
Well, like I said, I don't know if it would be possible to do it without um with this concept.
That's perfectly valid, and it might not be, but that is part of the challenge of learning to create maps, I suppose, for me, is to say, this is what I could have done better, and then try and implement that. And I think that particular point, at the very least, is something I feel like if a few more people had been able to join us, they probably would have also commented on. I was kind of feeling that myself. Me personally, I'm not good enough currently at racing to be getting 200 on more than like this loop that you're coming up to. I definitely get that on the drop off.
Well, yeah, there's only the two spots that you're actually over 200, but it's still a complete speed reset.
Yeah, for sure.
I did just find at the end, again, this isn't like an issue. It's just something I was thinking about at the end of this level. If you break because of that fan that's pushing you down as well, you get into that fan a lot sooner and you're a lot lower. Um, so you can cut. Yeah, it's not like a cut per se. It's just a slightly faster line. Yeah. I loved the fake ending. I think that was really cool. Good idea. I also really like the barrel roll. I love barrel rolls in general. So this is very much a style of track that I'm typically not great at, but I enjoy it. Um, I actually really like the way the track looks with like the borders basically just like going around you in a circle. I thought for sure that those like little road border things were Ronin lines at first. So I hit them. The one thing I'm really liking it, especially the beginning of this map, is that little like hump you have after that first transition. Um, that is very much like speed conservation because every extra speed you have there is going to result in like insane time changes. Like I was able to get zero point 0.2 from oh, I just messed up the end of it. That little suck down part of the problem with it is the angle. So if you're going faster, what's happening is like you can't even like you can't get like the right angle for the speed. If that makes sense. You can like barely clear the top of that uh ramp down, but because of how steep that ramp is, if you're barely clearing it, you're still hitting the bottom of the ramp, not the top of it.
I'm Mew. Hello.
I'm Lexer. Hello.
Lexer has had a little bit of experience. Mew is taking a first look at this. Lexer, how long have you been playing this game for at this point?
In months or in hours of playtime?
More around hours.
I'm approaching 2,000 hours.
Okay. And Mew, I know you told me, but I already forgot.
I think I'm at like 650 or so.
Okay. So we've got a bit of a varying perspective at the moment. Lexer, you were not in the call, so you didn't actually get to hear the premise for this map. Pretty much, I was in the lobby for Jammer Band this week, and I had no idea what to do for the second map. And then, Alex hosted Jammer Band with, like, 90% flying maps. Which, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of, as it makes me use a different controller. So the theme for this literally just became not a flying map. And I wanted to see what I could put together for that.
I'm glad it's not a flying map.
A flying protest map is it's great. I love it. I just made one myself.
Yeah, that was a little different, I think, if I remember correctly.
The gravity from the constant fan takes a little bit of getting used to.
It really does. Something that's interesting for a few of us newer players, somebody I don't know who was playing with us earlier commented on this, is when you switch from the added gravity to a normal map, it really messes with your head for a little bit. I'm curious to see. Okay. Lexer.
Yes, steering is so much different with the added gravity. Like, you can pretty much full steer everything without smoking tires.
Indeed. I want to find Mew on the track. Are you racing?
It does give you some extra speed in some weird spots. Like on some turns, you just can't help but hug the wall.
Oh, fascinating.
Okay, I finally understand that loop part.
Okay. I was quite curious about that. So, Alex also, by default, was going up the loop at first, which I honestly hadn't expected anyone to try.
I wasn't sure what the gravity was going to do. I tried that first, and then I tried turning around and going back down the loop on the other side, but I didn't see any track in that direction. Then I tried doing that and then turning around again down there. Then I realized you should just jump off the loop.
Yeah, on my first run, I was hopeful that gravity may change on the loop and tried to do the loop first. I think the problem is more so that you don't see any other option when you're driving it the first time.
The path to the left is not indicated at all. It's hidden behind the loop.
I apparently mistakenly had assumed that being like one of all of two pieces without a wall, that people with more experience would just kind of automatically gravitate towards the, oh, there's a cut here. And
I could tell that there was something suspect with it, but I wasn't sure what to do.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking I probably should have actually put some signage on that, so...
Yeah, or even if the road piece before the loop was a see-through material, that would help also, because then you would see the landing over here. That's something I do a lot in my tracks, just like glass on a jump where you would normally can't see the landing on the other side.
Yeah, seeing a maneuver before it happens is a good way to make it easier for people.
I'm curious to hear, I asked Alex these questions. What is your favorite, least favorite, and I suppose, well, what are your favorite and least favorite parts?
So I really like the it like just on its own, the jump off of the loop and how it makes you sort of do a roll and how you have to control that on the landing. I really
I
don't
also
like.
really enjoy that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love when maps do that. I really don't like the turn at the start and like the ramps there. They feel especially clunky, and it just feels weird.
Yeah, so that first turn that you just went over there, you just kind of hit the ground here pretty hard.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That kind of doesn't feel super good. There's not
All it takes is one
always
more piece to be in there, and it could
yeah.
be really smooth.
Everyone is in complete agreement with this track as far as both the favorite and least favorite pieces, and I'm actually super thrilled about that. That jolt at the start was very much a learning moment for me in the actual building process of this track, because I didn't drive it very much myself while I was building it. I was more focused on like, how do I fit this idea together and not make something boring? And then my wife did a lot of the playtesting for me, and as I was getting to the end, I also was sitting there, I'm like, I hate that bump. And I tried to fix it, but what I wound up with was what I was telling you about before. It drastically changed the speed. We were kind of discussing that in the
Yes.
pre-lobby.
And I can see that because I know exactly what piece needs to be there, but that would make it so that
It's smoother, and so you have more speed, and
Yep.
and you're higher up also, so you're
Yep.
getting more
Right.
speed from gravity.
That was
No, because I use, if you play my maps, I only use like 10 different road pieces, which includes these on this track. So I know exactly what that would look like.
yep. And
It would
so
change quite a bit.
that was the moment I was talking about where I kind of sat there and went, this is something I need to be more conscious of at the start of building the track, because unless you want to be the kind of person to put a slowster in your map just for fixing your prior mistakes, then it really doesn't feel good. I'm gonna real quick add some time here. I'm just gonna arbitrarily put it back to 10 minutes and then force skip it later. Mostly because I did want to draw your attention to the one decoration. There's actually 3 of them around the map, where I have a car with a paraglider, and I'm very curious, Mew, after seeing some of your decorative abilities, what your thoughts are on how I did the paraglider.
Oh, interesting.
for a low piece count, I think it's great.
Well, the second map was actually created just by a simple idea that kind of came about through the assisted wall ride factor of this game. I really like the way the wall rides feel in the game, and I wanted to take that a step further, and so I wound up creating this one. Had a lot more thought put into it. I will say that I got a few corrections from a handful of people during the creation, but let me know your thoughts.
So when I played this earlier, one of my first thoughts on this map, and I mean this in a good way, is that it feels like a YouTuber's map. Like
It does. I see that.
I could see Con or Cosmo making this map. It's such a unique idea, the wall ride that the road goes away, but it's executed pretty well.
The last map was, I guess, farther from my expectations of normal driving and like normal approaches to controls. This one is a standard map that just has a bit of a difficulty in a certain direction. I don't know, it feels easier.
It has like a gimmick that you need to get used to, but it's not
Yeah.
it's not unnatural.
Right.
So, when I was personally playtesting my own maps here, I was really getting like a roller coaster feel. I wouldn't say like
Yes.
AFK necessarily, but just a feels like when you're going on a roller coaster and you're just kind of looking for the pathway around, and kind of also with this one in particular, that shock value, where you're just not expecting some of the stuff that happens.
I sure wasn't expecting it to disappear. I was expecting to do a lot of just outer wall rides, but the road disappearing was a surprise that I was
Yeah.
happy about.
All right. So my first question is, the arrows. Did they do their job? I put some neon
well
blue
enough.
arrows to kind of be like,
Yeah.
hey, you want to be on this side? And I will actually say that was the hardest part of the map for me to come up with, because I actively was trying to avoid using Ronin lines in any way, shape, and form. My first map, I didn't realize that this community takes Ronin lines as a, hey, this is the optimal way to go. I very much, after having pretty much just watched a ton of Lexer's videos and...
Oh, geez. Speaking of, the yellow dots at the end-ish, I was expecting them to be intangible, and they were not.
Yeah, Alex did the same.
I was also expecting that to be an optimal line, and it is not.
I'm sorry.
So there you go.
I will say, I have definitely learned that, just sticking things for spatial awareness is not a good idea, because all
It has to be done in a very specific kind of way.
Indeed. Yeah, so those are there because my wife could not see the curve particularly well, and I was like, how
Oh,
can
yeah.
I give an awareness here? And I will say, this is one place where my methodology definitely failed, because all three of you have crashed into that.
You know what? Oh, wait, hold on. What kind of road piece is this? Oh, this is, Yeah, I'm not sure what I would have done there.
This track feels hard in a traditional hard. The other track feels hard in an RTM hard kind of way. The landing just before them, where you come off that jump,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
feels...
It's another one of these hard connections.
Yes. So...
If you actually just lengthen the piece with the scaling tool, it'd be a lot softer. I find those are good pieces for landings, the like downward hills.
Believe it or not, that's like a 5. I just didn't do it as well as I should have. Though I will say, my bigger
No,
problem
stop going for the road.
is, as I've gotten faster, I actually just feel like I used the wrong piece and should have just used a straight line and then like curved it at the bottom. Because Alex was having this issue, Lexer, I saw you doing it. Now that I've gotten faster, I'm kind of landing on the bottom of it instead of getting downhill.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
the whole point of putting that there was to get like the downhill advantage, and I can actually say I just blatantly failed in that regards.
That
That
is
is also the point of these videos, is so that I can learn.
a big thing to take into consideration when testing, is that there are going to be players who are faster than you, and so you have to build with that taken into account.
Mhm.
So
I know some people have recommended for newer players, especially, to practice with a booster that increases your speed by like 10 and see
And-
what it plays like at that point.
Also using the what is it, the save states for
I do
testing.
use the save states
That is a
a
huge help,
lot.
and
one
so
of
you
the
can
things
tune jumps that way.
Actually, I learned from that jump in making. So I made this one first. The other one was the second map, and I actually picked up a little bit of that. And the downhill, I wanted to test whether or not you could use the fake finish as a risky, and so I literally did put a speed booster down.
I just completely missed the downhill piece
I
entirely.
saw that. Mm. But yeah, I put a speed boost at max speed pointing down that hill to just guarantee that nobody can make that, no matter how fast you're going. I definitely think if I had built this map second, I probably would have done that on that turn. And the other major area that I really think I probably would have changed, the final section takes a particular level of skill that seems to be harder for some reason.
Once you
I don't
line it
really...
up, it sort of does itself. The last wall ride.
The
Do you
transition
mean?
on the last wall ride, the transition onto the top wall
Yes,
seems to be
that
messing
that
other
I was
people
having a
up.
bit of a trouble with. My wheels
think,
would come over the edge, and I would just be like hanging on for dear life. But if I did get a clean transition onto the wall, I didn't have to touch anything, and it would just smoothly go right into the finish.
I think I've
So
played
it's
enough maps with that style of transition that I haven't really had trouble with it.
Right.
yep.
So my last main thing here then is going to be the same questions as on the last one. Firstly, how would this hold up in Cup of the Day? Lexter, having you here is really great for that because, like I've said it before,
I
you're
don't
why we
know Cup
started
of the
playing,
Day.
and that's my end goal. But also, what's your favorite and least favorite parts of this map?
I'll start with the cup answer. I think this would be okay for cup. There's a couple transitions that I'm not a huge fan of, but we do have map testers, so I'm sure that stuff will get fixed. Otherwise, I think it would be competitive if you had a bunch of people playing this track. And I don't see any glaring issues with it. Touch on the difficult end, maybe learning all the different wall rides.
Not compared to today's. Well, not
Well,
for me.
I don't know. Cup of the Week map difficulty has increased the last couple months, so I don't know.
No, I'm just jabbing at the map today because I had
Yeah,
a very hard time with that one.
yeah.
I'm
No,
finding it pretty consistent after learning for just a few
yeah,
minutes.
I think this one that Mew's coming up to right now kind of throws me off a little bit because you have to turn up a little bit. It's the third
Yeah.
wall ride, and it's just because the second wall here is slightly steeper, and gravity's pulling you down already.
For sure. I
But
actually
I
left
haven't
that
had
on
too much of a
purpose.
problem.
The main way that ended up that way is I tried smoothing it out, and something I was trying to be wary of was just the quote-unquote AFK-ness or non-interactability of the map.
Right,
I
yeah.
think
When
it's
I
good that
smoothed
you
it,
have
was
to
just...
input.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, do you have...
Besides the issues we already said, I think this is a fine map.
Honestly, my favorite part is the color of the arrows.
Oh,
You can thank
Are
the
you-
web for
I
that
know.
one. Originally,
Yeah.
biased
they were red.
towards teal.
Just the glowing blue against the orange with the white and black. It fits well, and it stands out to the eyes to be something that you should be paying attention to.
My favorite part, I like this very final piece you have. If you do stick to this wall ride on the final transition, the ending is very satisfying.
It really is.
Okay.
I
And
hate
even
these
though it's
yellow dots, though.
narrow, you don't really need to steer, so it's fine.
Yeah, I think the yellow dots are the defined.
They just shouldn't be there.
I will learn from that in the future. Thank you for joining us. Lexer, thank you as well. Everybody, make sure to go check out the Cup of the Day races by Lexer and any other videos he does on YouTube, as they were the original inspiration for this. And yeah, that'll be a wrap.